Mama.
Hey Jay, what's up?
Nothing. You know it's July, right?
Yeah, what about July?
You know it's time, right?
It's time for what? What are you talking about?
Mama, it's time.
It's time for what, Jaden?
It's time for you to go back on air.
For me to go back on air?
Yeah.
Like now?
Yeah, like now.
I mean, it is minority mental health, that's my heart, but girl, I don't think I'm ready.
You is ready.
I've been busy. I've been working. But I don't know if I'm ready to be in front of people again.
Well, you better get ready. Because it is July.
You're right. And it might be time. I should go ahead and just do this, right?
Right.
All right, we'll see what happens. Hello there, Talk community. Yes, it is time. And just as our production assistant Jaden shared, yeah, it's time for me to get back in front of the camera. And for those of you that may not be familiar, my name is Tiffany. I am a licensed clinical social worker by trade and a community activist at heart. And what way, what day, what better time to return before you guys than during the month of July that serves as Minority Mental Health Awareness, but also BIPOC Month, as some of you may know. This topic is one that is near and dear to my heart, something that I've stood on since fostering this platform. The opportunity to tackle myths, to be able to debunk those myths, and also bring cultural awareness and insight to those taboos that are impacting Black and Brown communities. So throughout this month, each Tuesday, there'll be an all-new episode of TIF Talks, an episode centered around minority mental health, with mental health professionals discussing everything from cultural awareness to men's and women's health, as well as the resources in the community and our own wellness and how we are working to empower each other one day at a time. So I hope that you will receive me back and extend me a little grace, though I won't take your grace for granted, and be able to enjoy this series. All right, welcome back to our community where we are discussing embracing the matters of minority minds for the month of July, which is Minority Mental Health Month, or as you may know it as BIPOC Month. So we are here with another talk guest, a familiar face to most, and a new one to some. We'll have her to go ahead and introduce herself, and we will get into our questions for today.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kathleen Vasquez. I'm a licensed clinical social worker by trade. I am in private practice and I am a mom to 3 boys who are running me dry, but we'll talk about that a little bit in this session. I'm happy to be here and happy to talk about this topic.
Yes, yes, yes. So, as you are aware, we are discussing 3 hot topic questions with all of our guests to really kind of tap into minority mental health in different specters. And that includes cultural awareness, resources, some of our mental health professionals' own experiences. So, you mentioned being a mother of 3 boys, and we will definitely get into that because I'm sure not only as a healthcare provider, but as a mom and the very many hats that you wear that plays into your own mental health. But the first question that I have for you is, why do you feel minority mental health and the healthcare system is so complex?
Thank goodness. So let me preface this by saying too that I also work in the healthcare system as well as a social worker for a trauma hospital. I think that it's so complex because of access to care, lack of education, prevention. As a Hispanic myself, I truly believe that I would have gotten the support had my parents been more hands-on and were aware of, what was around them. Unfortunately for us, I say unfortunately because, we were right at the cusp of like being middle to lower class. So didn't qualify for insurance, for Medicaid, or any kind of government assistance, but then couldn't also afford to keep insurance either. So I really think that, in that time in between, I really truly believe that if my parents were aware of the support or resources near them, they would have provided that to us. But it's the lack of education, and from my generation, being a millennial, I think that there's that taboo too of, well, we're not going to ask these things because then, mi gente is going to think we're crazy, and things like that. And I mean, I can imagine too for you being in the Black community, there's this taboo, surrounding any kind of healthcare, mental health. So I really think that all of that comes into play when, minorities are trying to get access to healthcare, unfortunately.
And I know, like, we have this conversation every year about access, and I think there's so many different entities of access. Like, you touched on a couple of different things. I think it's so very important that we understand that there is a very fine line between health education and health literacy. And oftentimes, from Black and Brown communities, we don't have the access or the response to access because there's such a large gap between health literacy. There's such a large gap between health education. And then, of course, like, there's so many taboos, even in this day and time, where you see so many celebrities or public officials that are out, in the community, that are even like bringing awareness to their own experience. One thing for me that really kind of I love about our local community officials is County Judge Hidalgo, and her just being on the forefront of saying, I'm taking a step back from my own mental health. And
Mhm.
people, even in being the public figure that she is, there's some people that frowned upon that. There's
Mhm.
some people
Mhm.
that applauded. And for me personally, as a woman of color, I'm applauding her because, believe it or not, her taking that stance and being public about it just really opened the eyes of so many others to be able to say, hey, I may not be on that platform, but I also need to understand that it's okay for me to take the time and be
Right.
open about that. And even with that, you still hear so many taboos, which is
Yeah.
very sad. And I don't
Mhm.
honestly know that we will ever get away from those taboos completely, but having conversations like these opens the door for those things. And that's why we continue to have them.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Now, you touched a little bit on being a mom and the many different hats that you wear. And I know, me as a mom, one thing that I'm so very proud of is the way that I've managed my mental health, the way that I've managed my experience with my mental health, with my anxiety, with my depression, has really been a starting point for my children, for them to be able to say, hey, this is how mommy does it.
Mhm.
This doesn't sets me apart in being able to manage and being able to have strategies and coping skills to be able to manage my own mental health. So I'm
Mhm.
always curious, like, with the many hats that you wear as a spouse, as a mom, as a clinician, why do you feel it is so important that mental health is on the forefront and visible in all stages of life?
Man, because when you have kids, ain't like, ain't nothing like them kids to humble you. They will, they having children exposes the deepest, darkest things of you. All of your traumas. Your fears, like you touched on, anxiety, depression. And you think, okay, how do I want these children that I'm raising? How do I want them to experience the world? What are they going to show face for? And so we really are the first teachers of our children. I think it's so important for moms to also be, vulnerable, and because at the end of the day, we're still human. And so
Right.
showing our children too at the same time, mommy was really upset when that happened. And I was really sad, and or I reacted in a way, and you know, that I shouldn't have, and I'll do better next time. Um, I think that, like, I'm probably a little biased because again, I'm a millennial and I'm a clinician too, but you know, I think that this generation of moms and parents too, not just moms, but dads too, are really trying to make a difference and be better than, you know, how they were parented.
Mhm.
And you know, taking the good and the bad, because you know, I think our parents did what they knew best with
Mhm.
what they had.
Right.
Um, but it's so important because again, like I said, you know, these children that we're raising, they're gonna be the face of us, you know, eventually. And I think it's important to show those things to them.
Yeah. I know, as a mom, one thing that I was very, very proud of early on with being a mom is making sure that my children were able to self-regulate. And that is
Mm,
so important and very important to me as a mom, that my children, that my baby was able to self-regulate, self-soothe, because just it's so many adults that are out here that aren't able to regulate their own feelings and their own emotions, and that plays into their relationships, that
mhm,
plays into their work ethics, that plays into their interactions. Like, it's so many things that one fine skill, or lack thereof, plays into so many things. And for me, understanding that mental health is important at all ages is not only bringing awareness, not only bringing visibility, but modeling those things.
mhm.
Because at the end of the day, and God willing, no time soon, I'm going to be someone's grandmother.
Mm,
And
yeah.
I know, right? And becoming someone's grandmother, I need my children to be able to take the skills that they've learned from me and make it a better world for the next generation.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
I believe just what you said, like, it starts now. We're their first teachers,
mhm.
and we have to model these behaviors at all ages. At the infancy to the preschool to the adolescent to the preteen to the adulthood, so they'll know how to regulate in this world around them. There's so
Yeah,
many things that are out of our control. When we
right.
do have control of the things that we do, it's important that we're able to know how to manage those so that they'll be able to make a greater impact. And that for me is key.
Mhm.
Key in their relationships and whomever they're going to mate with in their adulthood.
Yeah.
So definitely. Thank you for that. Now, my last question for you is, how do we as minorities transition the perception of minority mental health from surviving to thriving?
Mm. So that's a really good question. Today, actually, I took my 2-year-old, he's 2 now, oh my gosh, to his checkup. And in conversation, I was talking to the nurse, and we were actually talking about what I do as a social worker and as a therapist. And she just disclosed to me some of the struggles that she was having with her kiddo. And I was just like thinking, like, wow, like what a perfect time because I'm gonna have this conversation with you tonight. Um, and it just got me to thinking that, you know, we are always like in this survival mode. What are we gonna do next? I think it's so important to really use our resources. Outsource what you need to outsource because we can't do it all.
Yeah.
You know, some of the things that she told me was she's obviously in a pediatric office, so she sees and works with children all day, every day. So her social battery is out by the time she gets home and gets with her kids. And I can empathize with that, you
Right.
know? Um, and so the challenges that she was having with her son was communication.
Mm.
And thankfully for her, she doesn't have to parent alone. She's married and has a really great husband who is able to pick up the conversation and go. But I think for her, it was the struggle with connection. And so giving yourself that grace
Yeah.
is really hard to do, obviously, because we can do it so gracefully to others, but we can't do it to ourselves. But using what you have and what you know already, I think that that's when the transition from surviving to thriving will take place, and our minorities will be able to, thrive and feel supported and feel safe and feel that, I can talk about these things and it's okay. Mom and dad or this adult that I look up to, this trusted person that I look up to, they're not going to judge me for it. You know, it really, really starts with us.
Yeah. Yeah. What I hear you saying is, how I live my life, and that is in community. Um,
Hmm.
and I believe because I was raised in community, that is how I've learned to live my life. And my mom makes jokes all the times of when it comes down to us celebrating the kids or us doing something as a family, she'll quickly say like, oh, when y'all come together, y'all make things happen and y'all need to do this. And, y'all need to create a business with these parties that y'all be having. Because when y'all come together, y'all just pull stuff together. And that's what community is,
Yeah.
being able to pull resources together. And one thing that I've been in prayer about and in meditation about is what you just kind of touched on a minute ago about grace. And for me, I've been praying like in my own time, like, God, if there's some things that I have to, some places in my life where I have to be broken, please allow me to be gracefully broken, because there's a difference with being
Mhm.
broken and being gracefully broken.
Mhm.
And I think as a community, as minorities, when we get to the point, like you said, that we really rely on the resources that we have within our community and create those safe places for
Mhm.
resources, create those safe places for the conversations like we're having now, then we normalize our struggle. And
Yeah.
we normalize our struggle in that we're not broken pieces, we're not broken crayons, but that we're gracefully broken, that we can continue on. And
Mhm.
normalizing those things for me really just helps me to get to the next level or get to the next step in life, because we all have our own battles.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
for me, I'm just at a stage in my life where I'm just grateful that I don't look like the battle that I've been through or the one
Mm.
I'm going through, And
Yeah.
for me, that is the thriving part. Like, you define
Yes.
your own success, you define your own thrive according to your own exposure and experiences. But
Mhm.
for me, from the surviving to thriving is to be able to say, hey, I don't look like what I just went through last
Yeah.
week. I
Yeah.
don't look like my day today, and being able to share that with community and with resources that we can all make use of for each other and build each other.
Yeah, for sure. I
Well,
love that.
thank you.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Of course, I appreciate you having you sharing in this conversation of embracing the matters of minority minds with me. Is there anything left that you would like to share with the community on your perspective of how we can continue to have these conversations and move forward with the matters of minority minds?
Um, I would say, just continue to normalize having these conversations. Don't be afraid, because I guarantee, the person you're sitting next to, in a restaurant, like if you're waiting for your table, or if you're on the bus waiting to get to your destination, like someone is always struggling with something. So I think that we have kind of strayed away from just having even like small talk. But at the end of the day, we're all humans, and we have these shared experiences and feelings. So normalizing those types of conversation will make us not feel so alone.
Awesome. Well, thank you so very much for being a part of this minority mental health awareness, ongoing conversations and series. We appreciate your service to the community and your time that you spent with us. Back to another episode of our minority mental health awareness symposium and wellness fair series, where we are tackling the matters of minority minds and being able to discuss how we are working toward empowering minority minds. Today, we have a new face to the platform who is here to discuss with us minority mental health from a man's perspective. So we're going to allow him to go ahead and introduce himself, and then we will dive directly into the questions.
Hello, everyone. It's an honor to be a part of this platform today. I'm honored to share with you all. My name is James Lynn. I'm a personal trainer, a nutrition coach, boxing coach, but most importantly, my passion, my ministry is I'm a breath coach. I teach people how to breathe better so that they can live better. I have a personal story assigned to that, attached to that, which I'm pretty sure I'll share along the talk. But I'm here in Houston, Texas. I do work online and in person. I'm looking forward to connecting with you all. You know,
Awesome.
also before I close, my Instagram is at the third James,
Yes.
TheThirdJames. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. All right. So this conversation that we've been having, a candid conversation, I would like to say, has been centered around mental health as a whole. And one thing that we really like to do and pride ourselves on with this platform is being able to be conversation starters and initiating these conversations so that although they start as a collective, they are, as you mentioned, planting seeds to continue the conversation on, whether it be in your peer group, around the water fountain, at work, at the barbershop, at the beauty shop. These are conversations that we are initiating as a starter to be able to continue to grow and continue to keep talking about them. And with having Men's Health Month, the month of June, and now transitioning into Minority Mental Health Month, for me, that is a great segue to initiate this conversation. Being a wife, I'm a firm believer that as I pour into my husband, he pours into our family. And with him pouring into our family, he pours into the community. And if as a wife, I can support him in building up and prioritizing and making sure that there's awareness brought to his own mental health, then I'm just empowering my household, myself, and my community from the outside in. I'm a firm believer in men being the head of the household. And I take care of my man because I need him to be around for me and I need him to be around for my children. And I need him to be around for his community. But oftentimes we don't see that in some households or in some communities. So I'm interested to know from your perspective, transitioning from Men's Health Month to now BIPOC Month, why do you think it is so important to create a safe place to discuss men's health and to discuss men's mental health specifically?
The space is extremely important for the simple fact is that if we really focus and highlight on all the traumatic responses that a man may experience, not only day to day, but throughout the course of lifetime, suppressed emotions, so when you wake up from a man's perspective, I believe always having to equip yourself with that shield and armor day in and day out. This space is important so you can finally take off your battle wounds and your battle gear and really pour into that peaceful side of the warrior. You can be balanced. It's okay to be balanced. So these safe spaces are needed to give us permission to be our complete, authentic selves. We hardly ever give ourselves permission to just take a break, put our feet up. We might do that action wise, but mentally and spiritually, we're still worrying about what we have to do for work. Still worried about just the visions and intellect and dreams and goals that come with wanting to be a provider. You know, the weight of that sometimes, you know, just to imagine it like, man, God is going to give me the needs, the tools, the energy to provide for a family. Like how, God? And these things that come up. And so not having a space to just share that, and that limits us in our knowledge to recognize that it's more men that are similar than they are different. So these spaces are connect, they're community. They bring together, they expand, they enhance. You don't find a negative, you don't find a negative interaction when you're doing something intentionally. Your mental. So these spaces, man, they're much needed in that context.
I love that. Being able to identify community as a connection point. And just so often, like you can see men, whether it be at a bar or at the barbershop or just in the grocery store, it's kind of like when there's that acknowledgement, you feel and you see that immediate connection. And in safe places to be able to take off one's armor and move past, as you mentioned, suppressing those feelings and those emotions of the weight of it just being a man, like that is so important. I know at one point in time for me, I would schedule my husband's mental health because I knew he wouldn't do it. So having time for him to connect with his friends, having time for him to connect with those people that he values. And one thing that we did at the top of the year when we talked about our goals is who is our three people? Who are those three people that are going to hold us accountable that we can reach out to? And he identified who, his brothers, or who he can call on when he needs to be vulnerable, who he can call on when he needs to be able to let go of the weight of the world and be able to step out and not be judged, not be criticized, or not have his vulnerability held against him. And I think that is such a beautiful thing for men to be able to have the opportunity to do, you know?
Most definitely, absolutely, absolutely. Just giving us the opportunities, letting us know it's there, and it's safe to take it. It does wonders. Most definitely.
Yes. Now, in this day and time, we oftentimes see where there are resources available, but the resources in our community are so fragmented, meaning they're here, they're there, they're not available right here, they're not available at this time. They have to be, scattered to a certain extent. I'm always interested in regards to safety nets. And sometimes the resource may not be a physical piece of paper or a physical referral. Sometimes it is that safety net that we have to tap into. So I'm wondering from your perspective, what safety nets do you feel would be most effective as it relates to minority mental health?
I believe interactions that are interactive go a long way. You know, finding activities such as a hoop session, uh, finding activities such as golfing, going to get a workout in, signing up for a fitness class, boxing class. I believe finding that male tribe is a safety net because one, you're tapping into that masculine, you're turning on your competitive hat, but at the same time, you're interacting with a fellow brother, with a fellow like-minded man. And in that moment, I feel like it could be considered childhood joy. Like y'all, it may be roasting, y'all may be talking trash, grown men, but being able to be childlike in that moment, that is a safety net that resonates more with me because I'm an active person. I don't like to really sit down too much in terms of, um, I won't sit down too much if I had the option to be outside. I'd rather be outside.
Yeah.
So, one thing that I'm doing now is called the 40 Club, and we meet once a week every Thursday at 8 p.m. via Zoom, and we do 40 push-ups before we do our breathwork session. And the 40 push-ups are to support a strong, healthy heart. You know, research is showing that if you do 40 push-ups nonstop,
Mhm.
you're lowering your risk for heart disease.
Mhm.
So a bell rings off in my head. I need to get more of my brothers into breathing.
Mhm.
This is the safety net to do so.
I love that.
Because men, sometimes we don't like to consider other options outside the gym.
Mm.
Now, the gym is stress. It's good stress though, but it's still stressful. You need to have a balance as well. Yoga, meditation, breath work, walking, something, go get a massage, self-care.
Yeah.
So that safety net of doing push-ups allows men to feel masculine, allows men to really tap into their truth. Because if you can't do 40 push-ups at my pace, ding, 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 ding. Now you have something to work toward. Now I've woken up something inside you that was respectful, that was honorable, that was courageous. You know, I'm pouring into you by showing you how we can progress from the number that you stopped at to eventually 40 or closer to 40. But even if you don't get to 40 just yet, just progressing, I've done my job as a brother. You know, that safety net I'm really big on. So interactive things that men, we like to have fun. So anything that gets us active, that has food, uh, you know, you got us. You
Yeah.
know, so I believe safe those are safety nets that I can resonate with and really pour into authentically.
I love that. I
So more
love
people can do that. Hey, I'll be there supporting, doing my job.
Yes, I love that. Interactions that are interactive. And
Mhm.
I love being able to attach not only mental health, but wellness as a whole to it. Because you're able to really have a goal to reach, but also be able to understand how that goal is impacting one's health. There's so many men that are not on board with going to see a routine physician. Like, it's just not a priority. And, I can understand that with all the other things that you may have going on, it just doesn't become a priority. But simple things like that will be able to really bring awareness, but also have you to work toward a goal. So I love that. I really, really love that. I love that.
And
Um,
what's so cool about it, Tiffany, once they finish the push-ups, we have a slight sweat going on. Our breathing is heavy. So it's literally a perfect segue into the breathwork session. And now I have a lot of first timers come through. Now they have been reconnected to the power of their breath, which was the ending goal.
yeah.
So mental health, man, this space is so beautiful when it's done with intention and community and done authentically for sure.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Now, when it comes down to mental health, we all have our own way of impact. And I, at this stage in my life, and as a result of this platform, am learning that there's a very big difference between influence and impact. And if
Mhm.
I had to choose one over the other, is always going to be impact. And that is because I truly believe when you create opportunity for impact, then you become a change agent. And it's important that when we have these conversations, we're identifying the impact that we are capable of and that we bring to the table. And being that change agent is something that I really want to kind of get your perspective on how do you feel as minorities we create impact in this segment of minority mental health.
So as you're talking to me about change agents and someone impacting you, I'm going back all the way to second grade.
Mm,
my hold on right quick.
Okay.
Man. Today is my birthday, right?
Hmm.
And you know, my Facebook notifications going, happy birthday, birthday. It was a notification came over. Shirley Smith,
Mhm.
my second grade teacher. Man, that lady has impacted me in ways like that I can't even fathom. Like, give me the opportunity to like as I look at my life right now,
Mhm.
give me the opportunity to speak publicly. She made me do the Martin Luther King Jr. speech. I was
Mm.
a Black History play, right?
Yeah.
And I was Martin Luther King Jr. And I mean, I'm learning that whole "I have a dream" speech. And at a second grade, I'm looking back like, dang, that's that was impactful.
Mm.
That was she made me a change agent.
Mm.
My voice,
Mhm.
you know, I think statistics say that public speaking is like people would rather die than public speak.
Mm.
So like just having that impact, I've now been able to take those seeds and they've sprouted into talking these type of having these conversations. So to bring it all home, I believe as a community, we have to just continue to be authentic with each other. And if you see somebody, pick them up if you're able to. You know what I mean? That's what I feel like. We have to be community, village minded, really get back to some roots, get back to some traditions. As I remember growing up, school was so different. I went to a school last week, it had a note that said no vaping. I'm like, people vaping in school nowadays?
Yeah.
So as a community, it's gonna take community effort. This impact will create these change agents. So in this industry, when I'm with fellow like-minded men, I'm their brother saying, hey, you are needed. Like, I'm not just telling you that. I want to remind you that I'm talking to myself too. It's a community thing. It's not the other. So you're powerful, you're courageous.
Yeah.
You know, just hearing that, it's
Yeah.
gonna wake up the change agent that needs to be woken up inside the man. We just need to hear it.
Yeah.
We need to be authentically received. Like I can be vulnerable to feel that I'm powerful, to feel that I'm worthy, to feel that I'm blessed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those affirmations begin to wake up a change agent to expand this mental health space. And shout out to other organizations that are doing it. I think it's a collective effort. We got the Black Man Project. We got
Yeah.
Brick City Buddha. We got so many people doing some things. Rashad, like these guys are change agents and they're hosting events for men, for the community. So these spaces are plethora of opportunities to pour into each other,
Yeah.
plethora of opportunity to support each other,
Right.
plethora of opportunities to pour into and wake us up and like you say, connect us more and more.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Like that really resonates with me as one that truly believes in bringing awareness to men's health and bringing awareness to Black men's health, because it's important. And I truly believe, as you mentioned, like we have to create these safe places for authenticity, for community, and be able to make it known that it's okay to give that permission, as you kind of said, so that all will be able to be welcome and know that it's okay to be a part, because oftentimes sometimes you just need to know that it's okay to want to be a part, and if you can tap in at the surface level, just coming and showing up, you dig a little deeper, you now have a new community to be a part of, and you continue to allow that community to grow.
Community. That's why I'm gonna preach that from the beginning to the end of this conversation. Community.
Yes, I love that. So as we kind of wrap up, I wanted to ask of you, and I asked all of my guests, if you had to express one thought, one entity of our conversation today, what would be your takeaway for those that are tuning in?
I believe that if you've listened to us up to this point, you've enjoyed the conversation, you're vibing with our energy.
Excuse
I
me.
believe that the takeaway should be, regardless of the challenges of life, and that's not to down them or anybody's journey, but regardless of the challenges of life, if you continue having the blessing to wake up,
Mm,
if you continue to have the blessing to wake up, I challenge you to learn more about your breathing. Essentially, mental health is a personal journey.
yeah.
We all have we're made up with different things, different experiences. So I can't point you here and point you there. First, you have to sit and continue to be comfortable sitting still with yourself. And breath work for me does that. So if I could challenge to really, really connect with your breath and visually think about this. God wakes you up with his exhale. He
Hmm.
breathes life into you. The breath of God is how you wake up. So knowing that when I came into this world out the womb, I had to make sure I was breathing. And before I exit into the spiritual realm, I would take my last breath.
Hmm.
So connect with the breath. It's powerful. It's
Yeah.
transforming. It's healing. We're talking about medical research. We're talking about spiritual research. Breathe, 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 and breathe with ease.
Love that. I love that. Yes, yes. Now, please, please, please share with our audience where they can find you. Once again, where they can connect with you and how they can be a part of your community.
I can be found on Instagram at THETHIRDJAMES, the third James. I do group breathwork sessions, corporate breathwork sessions, one-on-one breathwork session, events. If I'm called to breathe, I will show up and breathe.
Yay.
So please reach out. I'm also an advocate for Black men's mental health. So for all the fellas that are listening, and for all my sisters who can invite their fellow or a fellow that they know, every Thursday at 8 p.m., the 40 Club is live and popping. We're doing our 40 push-ups to support a strong, healthy heart. And we're having a breathwork session to support strong, healthy lungs and good breathing. So please connect with me on Instagram so I can see the Zoom link. And let's keep growing. Community,
Yes.
community.
Yes, yes, I love that. And I will definitely be sharing and posting James' information so you guys will be able to have it at your fingertips. James, I want to thank you so very much for taking time for sharing in this conversation with us today. I'm a fellow Cancer myself, so happy birthday to you. It's
Thank
our
you.
season, it's our
Happy
time.
birthday, man. Thank you so much.
And I love just the work that you're doing in the community and the awareness that you're bringing to Black men's health. So definitely continue on your journey. And we here at JKC Collective will continue to support in just doing that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And for our community, we will continue this conversation, returning every Tuesday with a new episode discussing minority mental health and the different entities of that. And I encourage you to remain connected as we continue to empower the matters of minority minds throughout this series, and also to keep talking because that is the purpose of today and this platform, therefore. You guys have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.